Good Saturday morning, everybody. Hope yours is going well so far. And it's time. It is time once again to talk about another Seahawks game. We are about 28 hours away from a very important kickoff in Santa Clara. Seahawks taking on the Niners on the road. Niners are 2-1. Got off to a pretty good start. They're doing some of the things that got them to a Super Bowl a couple years ago. Not all of the things. They're not there yet, but they're doing some of those things again. They're clearly better than they were last year. Seahawks are 1-2. They've gotten the season started off in the wrong way, very much so. And two straight losses where you blew double-digit leads. Two straight losses where the things that you thought you could depend on really let you down in one way or another. And this game, this upcoming game in Santa Clara is big not just for this season. It's big for this season, of course. We all know that, but it may end up being a a pivot point for the next couple seasons where winning this game might set you back on the right track where at least you can pretend to try to compete for the division, pretend to try to compete for a playoff spot, where you can at least justify saying, hey, we're still a good team. We just had a couple of lapses early on where you can convince yourself that, hey, we're back. We're going to get back in this fight. Or if you lose and go to 1-3 with a loss in the division and guaranteed to be 3 games back, because at the end of the day on Sunday, unless there's a tie, there's guaranteed to be a 4-0 team in the division. So you go to 1-3, 3 games back with a loss in the division. If you want to think that we can still compete for the division title at that point, then I mean, go with God, I guess, but I will not join you in that belief. Not at all. And at that point, you might start thinking about, hey, this team isn't good. We built it wrong. Something is not right here and we can't fix it. Maybe you even start fire selling. Maybe you even blow it up a little bit. Maybe you just start offloading assets to try to be good again in 2022 or 2023. And I can sit here and talk about the X's and O's of this game and the matchups and why I think we're going to do this or that and how I think we can get some good things done here or there. And I will, because that's always important. But there's something a little bigger going on here. And the bottom line is the Seahawks need to win this game to prove that they still have their manhood. And for that reason, more than any other, I do think they will find a way to win this game. It's just a matter of proving that you are still men. So, looking at this game, this 49ers team, their offense, they have problems. Jimmy Garoppolo looks like a bottom 5 quarterback among starters in the league. He looks awful, and Trey Lance is clearly not ready to play more than a few snaps a game. Shanahan has continued to make it very clear that Garoppolo's the starter, and there are some Trey Lance packages, but Garoppolo's going to play almost all the snaps, and he's become such a limited player at this point. All he can do is check it down. That's all he has. And on top of that, they have running back issues. They've lost a lot of guys. Obviously, Mostert's out for the season. They have other depth issues at running back, and it's gotten to the point where even Shanahan's magical run schemes, which have worked so well with so many players since he got to Frisco, are not enough. So I know Elijah Mitchell's a question mark going into this game, and that's actually really important for them. They need him. So I think he's going to play, but they have issues there. They have issues at tight end because of George Kittle, injured, fighting like hell to get on the field. He'll probably play, but he might not play a lot, and he might not play at a very high level. It might be a Dalvin Cook situation where if he plays, it's not going to be very pretty. It's not going to be the George Kittle that we know. And like Dalvin Cook was for the Vikings, George Kittle's probably their best player on offense. That is, I know it's weird to say a tight end could be the best player on a decent offense, but Kittle really might be their most talented guy, at least. He does so much for them. So you're looking at an offense with a boatload of problems. You've got one of the worst QBs in the league, a mash unit of running backs, and a superstar tight end who's crippled at best and not playing at worst. So, bottom line is, these last couple weeks, you've played against offenses that weren't great, but they were good. Maybe they're even a little better than we're thinking right now. Maybe we'll see those teams' offenses go into the stratosphere a little bit as the season goes on, and we'll look back and go, oh, those were really good offenses. But this week, you're not playing a slightly above average quarterback. You're playing a bad quarterback. You're not playing good running backs. You're playing random running backs that Shanahan's desperately trying to throw together. You're playing another offense that is either going to be missing or going to be mostly missing their best player. So if the defense can't get it done this week, then there's no hope for them. And if things go poorly on Sunday, if the defense gets gutted again by Jimmy Garoppolo throwing to, I don't even know if Brandon Ayuk's healthy right now, actually, now that I think about it. We don't know what's going to happen with George Kittle, with no running backs. Just, if you get gutted by this offense, I would hope to God that at the very least at that point you go, okay, I cannot save this Ken Norton guy. And I know Ken Norton is not the core of the problem with his defense, but you have to start somewhere. So at the very least, let this be his last chance. At the very least, let it be known that if things don't go well for this Seahawks defense on Sunday, even if you win, his ass is on the line. Hopefully that's at least going on, but realistically, this is an offense that even our weak defense should be able to handle, should be able to get pressure, should be able to get turnovers, should be able to force punts. If you can't stop this team, you won't be able to stop any team outside of like the Texans and Jaguars and stuff like that. So no excuses, especially because this defense looks like they're going to have the crew. They're going to have Kerry Hyder. They're going to have Benson Mayo. They're going to have Alton Robinson. At least two of those three, it looks like. So you've got your guys. I know they're not all at 100%, but this is football. No one's 100% all the time. So you better go out there and show us what I expected this whole time. And I'll say it again. For the love of God, if this is not the week the defense shows up and does something positive, at least give me some turnovers and at least give my team a chance to win, then please let this be the end of this Ken Norton experiment. That's what I'm looking for right now. So the thing is, this defense needs to perform in this game because this is not going to be an easy game for this offense in Seattle. So I see this as one of those games that I was kind of talking about this offseason where the offense is going to have a hard time. For one reason or another, the offense is not going to be able to score every time they get the ball. They're not going to be able to put up 40 plus. They're not going to be able to dominate. They're going to do their thing. They're going to get some points. They're going to play decently. I think they're going to have their moments. But I'm looking at this and I'm seeing another one of those games where maybe the offense can only score like 24 points, maybe 21. And that needs to be enough. So this is why you spend your money, spend your draft picks, spend your time, spend your effort on building a defense. If it can't show up for this game, then none of it was worth it. And everybody associated with building that defense needs to go because it was not supposed to go like this. So that leaves us with the question of this offense, which is not in a great state right now. Tyler Lockett, it looks like he's going to play, but he's probably not 100%. Metcalf looks fine, so that's good. Unfortunately, not a whole heck of a lot else is particularly good. Now, there's no Penny, and that's whatever, but no Brandon Shell, probably no Dwayne Eskridge, which I think matters. I know he doesn't play a ton, but he does add a dimension to this offense that I think is sorely missed. So you don't have those guys, and Dwayne Brown looks like he might be aging in dog years all of a sudden. It's possible. I'm going to keep an eye on it going forward, but didn't seem like he played well against the Vikings at all. Gerald Everett has COVID and is somewhat unlikely to be able to play because he's not getting cleared. I guess he is vaccinated, so I don't really understand what happened there, but you got to roll with it. Now, we are getting Colby Parkinson back. We are, I think, getting Cedric Ogbuehi back. So we're getting a couple pieces back, but this is still a hampered offense. Cannot expect him to go out there and dominate the whole game against pretty much anybody, but certainly not on the road against a defense with a talented front seven like the Niners. They've got Bosa. They've got, well, they might have Kinlaw. He's injured. And I know Kinlaw hasn't broken out yet, but we know he's a talented guy. He has to be. Still has Fred Warner. Still has, well, not Greenlaw anymore, actually. He got hurt too. But it's a good defense, especially up front. D Ford is playing pretty well for them right now, I think. So it's not going to be perfect from this offense, and I don't expect it to be. I do expect us to be able to work their secondary because their cornerback situation is completely decimated. Their cornerback situation is worse than our receiver situation, and our receiver situation is not very good. They don't have Verrett. He's out for the year. They're probably not going to have Josh Norman. They definitely won't have Kwan Williams. He's already been declared out. So those cornerbacks should be ready to be taken to the cleaners. So give me that on Sunday against the 49ers. Other than that, you got to stay balanced, obviously. You got to run the ball, maybe even a little bit more than you have in the last game or two. But realistically, the way you beat this Niners team is through the air. You are going to have to attack that secondary, and that means the offensive line holding up. Can't have it like it was against the Vikings, where Dwayne Brown, the rock of your offensive line, is giving up 7 pressures in one game. That happens, nothing's going to be able to get started, and you're going to see what you saw in the second half against the Vikings. So that's really all I can say about the specific X's and O's of this game. Niners defense is pretty good, but they have lost something. They lost something when they lost Soleil. They lost something without Greenlaw, Verrett, and now Kwan Williams. They are missing some of these pieces. And with their secondary being the way that it is, I expect some plays to be made against their cornerbacks. But our offense has their own share of problems. They're still learning. They're still picking up this new offense. And bottom line is, if the defense does not show up and make enough plays to give the team at least a chance to win, then they may as well just not bother showing up for the rest of the season, because that's beyond pathetic. This is a quarterback. I don't think some people really understand how lackluster Jimmy Garoppolo is sometimes. Some people might be tempted to say he's about as good as a Ryan Tannehill or a Kirk Cousins, but I don't think they're even close. I don't even think that's a comparison. Jimmy Garoppolo, you blow on him, he will hand you an opportunity to take control of the game. Just do it. And bottom line is, with what happened the last 2 weeks, blowing 2 double-digit leads, I know the nature of the blown double-digit leads were very different from game to game. But after blowing 2 double-digit leads like that, after having your defense kind of get their manhood taken in different ways in 2 straight games, culminating in what I honestly think might be the worst defensive showing in the history of the Pete Carroll Seahawks era. You just have to show up and play well and do some positive things just to say that, hey, we are human beings, we exist, we are men, we take pride in what we do, we're sickened by what we allowed to happen against us against the Vikings last week, where they just did whatever they wanted to on us pretty much every single play, receivers running open by 10 yards, quarterbacks throwing a picnic in the pocket because there's no pressure, backup running backs mincing your run defense, just everything that happened. If you cannot come out in this game with some fire, some emotional push towards a better result, towards being the defense that, or at least being closer to the defense that people like myself thought they were going to be this offseason, then at that point, are you even really men? Or well, maybe I should put it another way. Maybe at that point you're just a bunch of chumps who are there to collect a paycheck and don't care about anything else. So possibly after this game, if the defense gets gutted, even if we win, I might have to come on here and start accusing these guys of just being chumps who are only in it for a paycheck. And I really don't want to have to do that because there are players on this defense that I like. There are players on this defense that I respect. But forget the coaching, forget the scheme. I know that stuff is not very good. I don't like that stuff. I think Norton's awful. I think Carroll's awful. I think the scheme is probably bad. I think the way the scheme is being implemented is probably bad. But you need to bring something beyond just X's and O's and schemes. It's heart, I guess. You could call it heart. You can call it passion. You can call it motivation. The pressure of having your back against the wall motivating you to higher heights. So that's what I need. If I don't get that, then maybe we just need to blow the team up because they've lost their will to be what we want them to be. And we're going to have some very serious conversations about things like that if this game does not go well. I promise you that. And I don't want to have those conversations, and I don't think most of you guys want to listen to me have them, but they will be had if you lose to the 49ers. So I'm out of here. Peace out. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think about this game down below. I don't want to say I feel good, because honestly, if we win this game, I'm not going to be happy so much as I am going to be relieved. There's not going to be a whole lot of me feeling great about things. It's just going to be me sitting there thinking like, oh, thank God this season isn't already over. All right. I will tune in. I will hope we do good. I hope we will play well. I hope they give me some reason to believe. Right now, as I said in my injury roundup video, I'm having trust issues with this team. I don't believe them. I don't believe a lot of elements of them. Jamal Adams came out earlier this week and said things are going to be different starting this week. We know we got embarrassed against the Vikings. Things are going to be different starting this week. And I just didn't believe him. I'll believe him after I see it. Even last year or the year before, if a defensive superstar came out and said something like that, I would have been like, okay, I'm going to buy into that. I believe that. I would go like, okay, I believe that these guys are going to figure out what's going wrong and it's going to get better immediately. But I don't believe them right now. Change it. Change it, guys. Go out there on the field tomorrow and change it. See you guys after the game. Go Hawks.